This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Hello and welcome back to the What's Bruin Show. I am your host, Jake Merrifield, and I'm joined on the second episode tonight that I'm recording with my good man, Mike Regalado from Bruin Report Online.
Mike Regalado.
What's up, y'all?
So a funny thing happened on the way to recording a wonderful podcast, and that is technical difficulties and just, obstacles beyond our control on this very wonderful MJ edition.
The ceiling is the roof.
The MJ edition.
MJ edition, of course, Mike and Jake. We tried to turn the first part of this episode, or episode 1 of this pre-Valentine's Day What's Bruin show, into a What's Bruin and Friends with, co-host Bill Shirley and Jamal Artis. However, I have this new board. I'm trying to figure out the technicalities of it, and in theory, it should be able to host a FaceTime call or a FaceTime audio call, without any trouble. And I think it will once we all, me get used to using this damn thing more. However, Bill wanted to be remote tonight. Jamal has to be remote because he's in Arizona, and then you, Mike,
excuses.
You were almost going to be remote, but then you came here, and thank you for that. But those little moving parts kind of put a little hiccup in our giddy up, so to speak. But you did get a good 45-50 minutes of our reaction to Chip Kelly leaving and Martin Jarmond being hired as the UCLA head coach. We're going to continue that in this particular episode of the What's Bruin Show. Along with Mike's going to talk some basketball, both men's and women's, too. So hopefully you enjoyed the first part of this. And now the second part will be just a little bit of your reaction, our listener calls, and some other contributions from, our frequent guests and friends of the show. Of course, this is the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show network, at What's Bruin Show on the Twitter and the Instagram, what'sbruinshow@gmail.com for the email, what'sbruin.substack.com. If you want to subscribe to our Substack, thank you very much for a low price, and you get some extra perks to that, as well as on patreon.com/what'sbruinshow or just what'sbruinshow.com for how much, Mike?
$2.
Just $2 a month. You can send the What's Bruin Show into the future. You can also find us on YouTube, search What's Bruin Show, or you can call us on the hotline, and we have a lot of we got a few hotline calls today. Thank you for keeping that going. The hotline is 805-399-4WBS.
Suck it, Rain of Troy.
Suck it, Rain of Troy. So, keep calling the hotline. I'll play some hotline calls after we talk some basketball. But I want to start the show with a little bit of a, I'm going to, Mike, do a Chip Kelly retrospective, I think, in the next week or two, maybe when I come back from vacation, because I do want to just, sum up the Chip Kelly era, which started with such high hopes. I believe the slogan when we first started that was really in my mind was, quote, "The window is open," right? The window to do great things is open when you get Chip Kelly and his, obnoxiously good college football record at the time as your head coach. And as we end, not with a bang, but with a whimper, the Chip Kelly era closes the books at one game over 500. It was 36-35, Mike, or 35-34, something in that range.
It's over. That's all that matters. It's over.
It is over, and it was every bit as bad as it was good, and vice versa. I think it was the definition, when it's all said and done, of mediocrity. I feel like your friends, your colleagues over there at the Bro,
Hi, bro.
might paint it a little more negatively than it actually was. But there's also other sources that might paint it a little more positive than it was, right? At the end now, I think we can all agree that it was good that we moved on. But there were some nice moments from the Chip Kelly era. I mean, I think that's undeniable, right? When you think about, just off the top of your head, Mike, what was your favorite part of the Chip Kelly, if you can think of one highlight that sticks out the most?
DTR, hurdling fools.
I love DTR, right?
Yeah.
We love DTR. Yeah. Right? That was a bright spot of the Chip Kelly era. Was it a bumpy road?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But by the end of it, we love DTR. DTR.
Latu becoming, the top person getting top in the nation for tackles for a loss. Love that guy.
No, that was great. Yeah, all that stuff was really really cool. But for me, it would be the SC games that we didn't just win. We clobbered them, right? Josh Kelly with that amazing day against SC.
Except for the one against Caleb Williams, that would have helped.
Yeah, I know, but that's fine. But that Josh Kelly,
that was his first season, right? And that was like he hit that run, and it was like, oh, well, that's good for the future.
This is going to be quite a game, yeah. And then the DTR hurdling fools and getting autographs from little SC fans, like those were wonderful things. But on the low side of things, I mean, gee whiz, starting the first 2 seasons with 7 wins.
Yeah.
And that's bookended by, you're right, Mike, this Arizona State loss this year is about as bad of a loss that anyone can remember in UCLA history. Yeah. And when you look at like his last 4 losses at UCLA, if you take against the spread into the numbers, and I'm pulling this a little bit out of my butt right now because I don't exactly remember the stat, but he was like minus 100 points against the expected like win total in his last 4 losses. It was just brutal. If I have a minute, I can pull it back up, but I don't want to get too deep in it. I'll save that for when we get to the other part of it. But the bottom line is the Chip Kelly era is over. We need to appreciate it and cast aspersions on it to a degree, and we'll do that down the line once we get over the immediate news of the now. But with that spirit in mind, I do want to bring a contribution from a friend of the show, dear friend of the show, Jim Mendat, the Godfather, the sports Godfather. He can tell you the score and the weather and the uniforms worn and the head coaches of a game in like 1962. And he probably attended that game as well, of anything like, if it's local LA sports knowledge and really national stuff too, he's very good at, but especially the LA stuff. He's
basically Yoda.
He is. Yeah. He's a slight Jewish Yoda. I think that would be a good way to describe him. He's amazing. We love the Godfather. And when Chip Kelly was hired, okay, we were all overjoyed. And Jim,
he gave us a great drop,
bottled that up into a song. And the song, and by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube,
from one of the greatest musicals ever.
Yeah, Mary Poppins. If you're watching this on YouTube and this gets excised, my apologies. I'm not sure if it's going to pass the YouTube overlords.
Oh no, you'll be fine because it's not the actual song. Well, melodies don't count.
No?
No? Especially...
Well, let's let it rip. This is what the Godfather came up with. This is what the Godfather came up with when Chip was hired.
Chip, chippity, chip, chippity, chip, chip, Kelly. UCLA fans are feeling such glee. Chip, chippity, chip, chippity, chip, chip, Kelly. The Bruins will be rolling. You just wait and see.
35 and 34.
I remember...
Chip's coming to Westwood, so watch out, SC.
First off, I didn't think that the Godfather had those chops. That was right. But I don't remember why I was like on Sunset Boulevard, but he sent it to us. I'm like, this is awesome. I think I was going to a show or something like that, and I pulled over and paused. I was like, what did he send? I'm like, okay, this is awesome. This is just truly awesome.
Oh no, yeah. No, we were all excited at that point. Like it was on, right? UCLA went out and made a swing, the biggest, hiring in the offseason, right? They won the cycle. But now, 6 years later, Chip Kelly crawling off with his tail between his legs to go be an offensive coordinator in conference with his buddy / protege, and really leaving UCLA in the lurch when it's all said and done. And by the way, we talked about in the last podcast, a lot of this damage was self-inflicted by the UCLA administration. Like, I don't know why they had to play chicken for 2.5 months, but they did. But now he's gone. And with that,
do you think they played chicken, or do you think that it was?
Actually, that's a good thing to talk about, Mike. Well, hold on.
Okay,
come back to that. Put a pin in that question because I don't want to not play the Godfather's second song.
Oh,
yeah. So
priorities.
So we played the Godfather's first song when they hired Chip Kelly. Yeah. Now,
he sent another
cap.
Oh, this is awesome.
Well, he sent an interim one too. He sent one after the Arizona State loss, which we played, a month or 2 ago, where he was like, "Oh my God, this is terrible. It was bad enough." But this is the final Chip Kelly,
here we go,
Chim Chimney song.
Oh, the trilogy comes full circle.
Yeah,
nice.
Although we're not playing the middle one. We're not playing Empire. We're just playing, A New Hope and now Return of the Jedi. Here's Return of the Jedi.
Chip, chippity, chip, chippity, chip, chip, Kelly. Your UCLA years were mediocrity. You refused to recruit and you didn't adapt. So we aren't surprised that your teams played like crap. When you arrived, we happily welcomed you. But the way that you left leads us to say, fuck you.
Wow. Ouch. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
he's no Dick Van Dyke, but that was solid.
That was a great effort. I think it really was. Yeah. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully the YouTube overlords don't kill that one for the YouTube. But if you are listening to YouTube and you didn't hear the cool songs, go to your podcast feed and listen to that. But thank you very much, Godfather. And I do want to have the Godfather on multiple times in the off season to talk about once we transition to Big Ten talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we're getting close to. I want to have the Godfather come on and talk about the different Big Ten, the new rivalry, so to speak, we're going to be dealing with UCLA football.
You're going
and
down,
basketball.
Rutgers.
That's right. You're going down. That's where you're going. Okay. Mike, you
Yes.
brought up a good point. What was it? We put a pin in a discussion 30 seconds ago that now I don't remember what it is.
I don't either.
It was, God dang. Oh, it was were UCLA and Chip Kelly playing chicken for the last 2.5 months?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like, yeah, they were, because after ASU, the crippling, horrible, worst loss in school history, pretty much, right before they went on and beat the crap out of USC, an organization you're affiliated with reported that it was in the works, that he was going to get fired. And then all of a sudden, we got this message of support from Casey Washburn. All of a sudden, he wasn't fired, right?
Yeah.
So at least we can speculate that right there was kind of a point at which he was almost fired. Maybe he sort of was, maybe he wasn't, or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he wasn't from that point, okay?
Yeah.
Then we go the SC win, the bowl win. Everybody's feeling a little more, happy about it. Still people were like, "Oh my God, he doesn't need to be here." But there were people that were like, "Okay, well now at least we're set for 2024. He's going to continue coaching, right?"
Mm-hmm.
But then after the bowl game, something changed. Number one, he ended up losing a number of his coaches. Right? I don't know if he lost Danton Lynn before the bowl game or not, but at some point he loses Danton Lynn. He loses a couple players.
Yeah, I think it was because Kekamalo was.
Was he like? It was like the
handling-
tryout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get you on that. But at some point, then he starts to go interview for jobs, and it's really apparent that he's wanting to leave, and that UCLA is not really going to stop him at that point. But they should have just either fired him back then, or he should have left back then. And I think it was a little bit of this waiting. Remember before the season ended, we were talking about how, they have to wait until like December or whatever for the buyout to change. So there were things that they were waiting for.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, if this is how the whole thing's going to end, like he just kind of walked away slowly kind of thing.
Yeah.
Somebody should have fired, or he should have quit. Like, this is bullshit how this fucking got drawn out. Don't you think? I think it was chicken.
Especially what? It's February 13th. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. And not a
Happy
lot of
Valentine's
love
Day, Mike.
for cheers to you, sir. Happy Valentine's Day. Not a lot of love for Chip Kelly, and which is fine, because after all the introductions for Deshaun Foster, it seems that the love has shifted in his direction. Now he still has to prove himself, but that's out of the way. The Chip Kelly era, the failed Chip Kelly era, is gone, and the fact that he had to kind of take a step down,
Chip Kelly,
to continue his football prowess, and yet, quick question:
Yes.
is it better to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State or the head coach at UCLA?
Oh, I think for this coming season, it's better to be the Ohio State, offensive coordinator. They're like much.
So
You're going to win at a high level and not have nearly the responsibility.
yeah. So as far as labels, he's taken a step down.
Yeah.
But considering the potential success and
That's what pisses
he
me off
has
about
to, it's like Lane Kiffin. It's like he's falling up.
He's going to come out of smelling like roses.
Failing upwards.
It is a little bit frustrating, right?
Yeah.
He took a diagonal step down, but he's going to get rehabilitated sooner rather than later if things go how they're supposed to go at Ohio State. Now,
Although hopefully, UCLA can get some validation when they take on Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
that would be great.
I'm just
I
saying.
can't wait. I can't wait for that, Mike. I can't wait for that, Mike.
I do not think that's happening. But
we'll see.
exactly. So.
But Mike, how'd you feel about this one? It was on my reaction pod.
Chip Kelly, sayonara, hasta la vista, Chip Kelly, what
What's up with it, cuz? Get the fuck out of here, bitch!
Wow, where was that from?
That was courtesy of Michael Hanna, who we'll hear from next. That was a Philadelphia fan after he left Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I love the start of that.
Chip Kelly, sayonara, hasta la vista. Chip Kelly, what's up with it, cuz?
What's up with it, cuz? Go ahead.
There's this famous clip of a fan walking out of a Philadelphia Eagles game, and he just talks about blah, 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 Chip Kelly, and he ends it with, fix it. And
Would not go birds?
And no, God, no. and my super homie, Kelly Honey Bunny, we always tell each other.
Happy Valentine's Day, Mike.
Happy Valentine's Day. We always tell each other, fix it. Fix it. So it's kind of like a recurring theme,
nice.
especially since it not only comes from Chip Kelly, but go birds.
Of course.
But yeah, and that's been the thing. It's like, hey, Chip Kelly, even at UCLA, fix it, and he didn't. He just hasn't. So
No.
Anyway,
at the end, it became much less of this
Chip Kelly's coming for you.
and much more of this.
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
Yeah. Speaking of one, Michael Hanna,
It's been a solid 28 hours or so of feeling myself.
he made 2 calls of the show. And by the way, there will be a B Team episode, I think, the next couple days, because on one hand, you get Michael Hanna, who, well, we'll play his calls, and then I'll plug the B Team episode after that. But this is Michael Hanna's call after Chip Kelly left the program.
What's up, gents? It's your old friend Michael Hanna. Just wanted to say that we have hope again. I have no idea what it's going to come to. I have no idea how long it's going to last. I just know that some hope is better than none whatsoever. And we were in a black hole of hope for a very long time. And because Chip Kelly doesn't feel like doing the work of a head coach, we have hope again. So the optics of it aren't great, taking into motion within your own conference and all that wonderful stuff. But that's stuff to worry about for ego. As far as the long-term potential of the program, it has long-term potential again, whereas before there was none to speak of. So, yeah, we'll see how long the hope lasts, and let's see what they do as far as making the hire. But in the meantime, yeah, we have hope again, and that is a better feeling than we've had as UCLA football fans for a very long time. So, anyway, enjoy your day, gents, and I look forward to being in touch with you guys soon. In the meantime, take care. Bye.
It's funny because this was before the hiring of Deshaun Foster. And if you want to hear what we think about the hiring of Deshaun Foster, just look back to the last episode and we go on about it for a good hour. But this is about...
And it was a good dissection of all the good and bad.
I feel that's true.
But
I feel it was even-handed.
You're probably going to play something now, which...
Well, all I'm saying is there's a couple things I want to point out. If you listen to the last episode 1 of tonight's pre-Valentine's Day episode of the What's Bruin show, you'll notice at the open, I was very excited and happy. And I'm like, hey, Mike, let's go. All right, we're going to bring on our friends and talk and talk and talk. It's going to be awesome. And then when I'm like, okay, let's bring on Bill and Jamal. And then I immediately am like, mother F in my attitude. Like it was a noticeable change in my tone, right?
Well, that was because technology was against you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, like, that is, there was a shift in emotion, right? You can acknowledge that, right? Yeah, like if you go back and listen to the episode, that is palpable, right? You can hear it. I would also like to point out on your colleagues, your podcast. On the broadcast the last day or two, they went like 3 deep on it's a coaching search. It's a coaching search. Yeah, all right, we're farting rainbows. It's a coaching search. Woo, woo, woo. And then when they got to the Deshaun Foster got hired, there was a little bit change in tone. Not to say that they were panning the hire or flaming the hire. There was a noticeable change in the tone between Woods and Tracy pre-hire and post-hire, right? And I would just like to say the same thing is going on here with Hanna. You heard him talk about hope and God knows what in his first call. Here is Hanna in the second call after the hiring.
Hey, what's up, gents? This is Michael Hanna from the B Team podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. I called you on Friday when the Chip Kelly news broke, and I left you a message in which I said there's hope again for UCLA football. And today I'm calling to say that there is no hope whatsoever actually for UCLA football after all. This Deshaun Foster hire is the fitting cherry on top of epic mismanagement of the football program from top to bottom. And there is no universe in which this works as presently constituted. I'm happy to come on and discuss it with you guys in the near future, or I'll send you another message if you want me to. I'll obviously reach out to you guys about that. But for those who are going to listen to the B Team podcast that's going to drop this week, that's also going to be a Twitter space. You're going to hear why I think this. They are setting up one of the all-time legendary Bruins to be a fall guy for a failed regime of epic proportions from an athletic department level, and I resent them for that. And it is just doomed to failure because there is no clear investment in NIL. And you're building around the structures and the skeleton of a failed coaching regime and wanting continuity in that. And then on top of that, you're not going to do anything else to compete in the modern college football world from the stands of things. This can't work. It's not going to work. It's a waste of everybody's time. It's an insult to the fans. And quite frankly, I don't know how many fans are going to be left by the time that the powers that be intervene to rectify this. And I don't know whether anybody who's going to be left behind is going to have any loyalty to UCLA football after they see what they've done to a legend, leaving him hanging out to dry. So, yeah, other than that, though, everything seems great with UCLA football. In the meantime, take care, boys. I'm sure that we'll be discussing this in the near future. And I want to say go Bruins, but it really feels like a lost cause. But, whatever. All right.
I will say this, that, Hanna did. I was texting with him today, and I was asking him like how bad the B Team episode that he recorded was, like how much flaming and vitriol was there, because obviously you can tell here he wasn't super thrilled with the state of things, and that's arguable as to what his take is or not. And he said it was much. I think this was harsher than whatever you're going to hear on the B Team, but we'll see. Mikey, Hanna can be somewhat of a, I don't know, psychopath on Twitter. Would that be a fair description of the young man?
That's your description.
That's my description. It is. But, well, I mean, talking to the man, tweeting with the man, listening to the man are distinct things, in my opinion.
I understand where he's coming from and where he thinks some of the stuff is going, but when did he send this? Because like there were a few things that were kind of riddled with opinion, like that the athletic department is burying it. So I don't remember specifically, but they're not going to be a lot of fans. But I'm sorry, but after today's press conference, after what Deshaun Foster said, the hype that he has for the program, the fact that he went on, he did a video for Men of Westwood, and people started pouring in money. That's clearly that was opinion based on. I'm hoping it's just emotion, and it's just proving that it's going the other way. Because right now there just seems to be a lot of support, whether it's support of thank God we're done with Chip Kelly, or thank God we actually have our coach. It just seems like there's more energy going into the program right now.
Oh, I think that's totally fair, and I do think it's fair for Hanna to point out what the failings of the program are currently.
Oh, no doubt.
But
which
whether
Chip
or not
Kelly brought upon,
yeah, absolutely. Whether or not the Deshaun Foster era will succeed or not, and whether this ends up just being a placeholder hire down the road, and they end up turning the page in a couple of years, as we were talking about on the previous show. Like, those are the hurdles that he's pointing out that they have to get over. They have to get the fans back engaged with the program. They have to take bigger swings with recruiting and with NIL and all that stuff. And they have to improve on that, right? Yeah, there's a lot of things that at UCLA that are where they need to be, mainly like the facilities and the campus itself and the recruiting ground, where the university. There's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of things that are easy to recruit about UCLA, but there are some things that
they're held back
way behind right now.
Oh yeah, no, that's not a lie.
Yeah, and if Foster doesn't address those, then yeah, this is the doomed quest right now.
But that's the great thing, that's one of the first things he has addressed. Yeah. He's saying, this is what we need to do. He said in his press conference, I need your support. I need all the fans here with me. And then he goes on and does a video with Men of Westwood, who is the, outside of the Wooden Athletic Fund, is the main NIL collective for UCLA.
And that's funny too, because like on
Hi, bro.
one of those broadcasts that came out over the weekend was the one with the head of Men
Ken
of
Grauer,
Westwood.
yeah.
And the main point he was making is that a lot of folks that were out there said, I'm pulling my money until Chip Kelly is gone. Or I'm not going to donate a dime until Chip Kelly is gone.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
He's gone.
He's gone, so now's the
Put
time.
your money where your mouth is.
And I will say this. I am not one who, I said it on the last show, I'm not one who was a big fan of every fan has to pitch in, money to support the
Come
NIL
on,
fund
Wasserman, hook it up.
for the kids. I think eventually this has to be something that is more of a corporate or a very, very much a
definitely.
man of means thing.
Yeah.
But in the short term right now, I'll tell you what, I said on the last show, I started donating to Men of Westwood for the next year.
Yeah.
I moved some of the money that I do give to the university to that. And I'm happy to do so if it means that it's going to help kind of jumpstart that part of the program, because there are a lot of things with the program that I think are ready to kind of explode if someone just handles it right. I think that you can be successful, but we gotta help them get there right now. But anyways, that was Hannah's viewpoint, right? As we often like to say, the UCLA or the What's Bruin Show is one animal, and the B team we'd like to call maybe counterpoint. And that's okay. We can have that. And we love you all.
Well, I wouldn't even say counterpoint, because I would like to say we are, aside from Jamal, who, he entered the What's Bruin Show arena late, but he has been a solid contributor, a main
Go Bears.
driver of opinions for the last, 6-7 years, I would believe. But the three guys that started it, you, me, and Bill, all Libras.
Who?
Bill.
Yeah.
All Libras. We like to balance.
Yes.
We like to really
That is
think
true.
about our decisions. We weigh the good and the bad. Okay? We say why Gavin Newsom's good and why Gavin Newsom is not so good. So.
Well, you're more the good and I'm more the not so good, but that's okay.
But no, that's
Mike, that's
honestly,
not a great example.
Honestly,
that's not a great example to start with.
It is not. No, but honestly, I think that is one of the cornerstones to this podcast, is that we look at why things are not so great and why things are, they're better than people think. We can honestly balance almost any situation.
No, I
and
guess.
even if we do, we still, I'm not saying that we all land 50-50, because God, we've had some epic arguments on this podcast and they've been beautiful, but we all come to some sort of conclusion that, well, I don't want to leave it like a scapegoat, like, oh, well, let's see where it goes. But we all have our opinions about where things should go, what's happening, and, well, hey, it turned out crap anyway. So were we right or wrong? Either way.
And we're not trying to be a hot take machine here. We're trying to give our opinions, and and I live my life by the golden mean, and hopefully this is another way in which I do that. Now, with that being said, I want to thank the Godfather. I want to thank Hanna. We're going to have some more of your calls coming a little bit later after we get through the basketball talk. But if you have anything else to say as we go forward, call the hotline, 805-399-4WBS. Suckarina Troy. And we'll probably be talking to them sometime soon as well. I think we need some good, heading into the Big Ten offseason talk as well. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, let's get into some basketball talk with Mike.
Women's.
Start with women's. All right. Women's basketball talk. Basketball for Nancy.
Dear Lord, the week before last was probably one of the roughest for the UCLA women's basketball team.
Is that right?
Since last year. There's always, it seems to be an issue, and not bad. I'm not criticizing the program. It's just stuff that just unfortunately happens to UCLA basketball. Prior to these games against Arizona and Arizona State, we knew that Izzy Anstey, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Angela Dugalich and Lena Sontag from Serbia and Germany, respectively, they were not going to be with the team this last week because they were in Brazil with their respective teams.
Bummer.
Going into Olympic qualifiers. Good thing. We just found out yesterday, both teams, after their performances, are heading to the Olympics, and we have two Bruins representing their respective countries in the Paris Olympics 2024.
Well, that's good.
The bad news is that Australian forward Izzy Anstey, who has had just an unfortunate series of injuries the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
She medically retired.
Yeah.
She's going to be with the team through the rest of the season, but it's another loss. That's what I'm just saying. So for this game, UCLA had 3 players that were not going to be with the team, and it was potentially going to be 4 because we've been talking about how Lauren Betts was not with the team because of a medical reason. Well, what? She rejoined the team against Arizona last week. And
that's good.
She was slow going against Arizona and had a better game against Arizona State. So right now, Lauren Betts is back and looking to kick ass again because this week the Bruins get Sontag and Duklich back.
Oh, nice.
So that's good from a headline perspective. That's good. The Bruins took on Arizona, who has been struggling like the last 4 seasons. Arizona, what was it? I can't remember offhand. I don't remember if they went to the Final Four or if they went to the championship game, but they have won 20 games the last 4 seasons. They're struggling right now. And so it seemed like even shorthanded, UCLA would be able to take care of them. And it was slow going for most of the game. And the Bruins did take them down 66-58. Nice. And it was awesome because Charisma Osborne has been the player that was carrying this team during that 4-game stretch when Lauren Betts wasn't here.
Straight baller.
It was weird to not have like other players step up. Like they tried to. I don't know what happened, but it just wasn't happening. And then you have the Arizona game. Kiki Rice comes back, scores 20 points. Gabriela Jaquez, 21 points and 15 rebounds.
Nice.
So they definitely put in the effort.
Just a baller,
It
man.
just seemed like they recognized that they were maybe lagging a little bit, and they just stepped up and took over where Charisma and Lauren didn't have to really.
Well, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Obviously, whatever Lauren was going through, she was still so slow going. Like I have the numbers right here. She only had 6 points, but was able to pull down 9 rebounds in that game.
Nice.
The next game, she stepped up too. 18 points, 7 rebounds. But against Arizona State, which is the last place team in the conference, UCLA
that spastic Arizona State team
had Rice that had 12 points. Osborne kicked in 12. Who was it? London Jones kicked in 10. So like the Arizona State game was, for me, it was a stepping stone game to get to the next part of the next week.
Yeah.
Arizona State came at a really good time because we talked about it last week where they went through a rough stretch for like 2-3 weeks. The next 2-3 weeks, well, including last week, a lot easier. They get that win against Arizona, and they get that win against Arizona State. Now they got 2 wins, but they didn't move up in the AP poll.
Sheesh.
That's unfortunate. They should have.
Yeah.
But there's actually a lot of movement in the top 10. But UCLA is currently projected to be a number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, yeah?
So
I saw 2 in the ESPN one.
Was that today? Because I thought...
It was today. Let me look again.
Oh, they moved up to... Oh, that'd be great because...
I thought I said 2. I checked. But anyways, like 2, 3, we're not talking...
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, they have them right now. This is the ESPN bracketology. Have them in the 2 seed in the Albany 3
okay.
bracket
So that might have been updated today.
against Ohio State.
And... they were at number 1 for like 8 weeks,
Yeah.
But obviously you lose that many in that stretch of weeks, you're going to get knocked down a peg. But that's the thing. We talk about East Coast bias, and especially against the, like the Pac-12. Stanford is clearly the best team in the conference right now. But UCLA, who really hasn't done much in the last few seasons, I personally think that what they haven't done knocked them down a few pegs in the bracketology. But we've talked about how they were just kicking ass in the non-conference, and I really think that the pundits are going. They're without Lauren Betts. They're without a few players because of the Olympics. let's see how they do in the next few weeks, and let's keep them here because they goddamn deserve to be in the top 10 because of what they've done in the non-conference.
And in the rankings defense, there's 3 4-loss teams in the top 10, and they happen to be 8, 9, 10. They're all Pac-12 teams, and they're Colorado, UCLA, and USC. And the distinction between them is Colorado is 20-4, UCLA is 19-4, and SC is 17-4, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're like, okay, we're going to give Colorado the bump at 8 because they have 20 wins. UCLA has 19 wins, they're at 9, and SC has 17 wins, they're at 10. But they're the top 3 rated 4-loss teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think it does make, it's also, there's so many dang teams that, the number of losses they have isn't necessarily going to, tell you where they're going to be in the rankings, but it is one factor I'm sure that the pollsters are using to rank them.
Yeah.
So even though I'm sure that there is a lot of bias against West Coast teams, I bet you can make the argument that it's less for women's sports than it is for other sports, just because there's so much dominance in women's sports on the West Coast.
Especially because, and we've talked about this, how
Traditionally,
the
right?
Pac-12 has been the dominant conference in women's basketball the last half decade.
Yeah, pretty much in women's sports,
Yeah.
Olympic sports, kind of everything but football.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, it doesn't get easier. I mean,
No.
at least in the next game. I was talking about how this next stretch is easier compared to the next 2-3 weeks are a lot easier compared to the last 2-3 weeks. But that doesn't really say a lot because now you have Oregon State, who, what are they? I think they are 11th in the nation. They have been playing some solid basketball. And even though the Bruins, where was it?
Nice beaver.
yeah, they are, where'd it go?
Yeah, even though the Bruins beat
Yeah,
them
20-3.
previously, they're still a damn good team that is up and coming. Kind of like how the UCLA men's basketball team is. The women's Oregon State basketball team is killing it right now. So UCLA has to be on full alert. They could easily lose this game. And, sure, it's a home game. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's on the road.
This is on the road. That's trouble.
Yeah.
That's really trouble. And even you have Oregon, who's not doing that well this season. They're
rise up
traditionally
and
a
bite ya.
really good basketball team. So this is a very treacherous
6 games
road
left, and they have 3 ranked opponents left on the schedule.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And and 2 of them are right closely packed right next to them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Against 8 and 11, and then they have the Utes in there as well. So 6 games left, 3 against ranked opponents. What do you think the goal should be for UCLA going down the stretch? I mean,
6-0.
6-0?
Honestly,
You want to be?
You got
want to beat them
Lauren
all?
Betts back. You got Duglich back. You have to go 6-0.
No, I like it. No excuses, huh?
Yeah. Allison Chains right there. No excuses that I know. That's what I'm saying right there.
There we go.
Rest in peace, Lane Staley.
Yeah.
But
if
no.
they end up 6-0,
Yeah.
then that'll put them in some sort of contention for the Pac-12 title, maybe, but it's going to be hard to catch. They have 4 conference losses, and that puts them still back at 4th place. Stanford's only lost 2 in the conference.
Yeah.
Do you think Stanford could lose 2 more by the end of the season? Not playing UCLA?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like this.
There's a lot of good teams.
I mean, let's see what their schedule is like.
They have 1 ranked opponent left, and that's only Oregon State. Nice beaver.
Wow.
So-
That's.
Nice beaver.
If you had our Magic 8-ball, prospects do not look good. I would have to say.
Is Washington State in their last.
No, they just beat Washington State 63-59. Or I'm sorry, they just beat the shit out of Washington State 73-58.
Yeah, so UCLA just needs a first round bye.
Yeah. They're probably not winning the conference. Is that what you're
Just
saying,
going
Mike?
there. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
I got
exactly.
you.
So,
But it would be nice if they went out.
yeah, exactly.
And then end up on the opposite side of the bracket from the Stanford Cardinal. Maybe they can beat them at the end to go into the tournament.
That'd
We'll
be
see.
nice.
Yeah,
So-
wouldn't it be nice? All right. Well, with that being said, let's. You got anything else on women's basketball?
No, that's just win, baby.
Hey, it was ladies first today, but let's get to the men who are still on a nice hot streak. So UCLA men's basketball sweeps another series. This time it's against those Darn Bay Area schools.
Mhm.
Yeah, suck at Stanford. That's what I want to say.
They're 7 of 8.
Huh?
They're 7 of 8.
We got this.
Suck it, Stanford.
And we got this.
Suck it, Cal.
Yeah.
They got
Deal
a
with
road
it.
sweep. You know, unlike women's basketball, the Pac-12 is not the best conference in
No.
men's basketball.
That's okay, though.
And even Arizona is showing a few, dents in the armor, but they're still pretty powerful. But they're the only one. Still, UCLA, Mick Cronin has had his team playing very competitive basketball, even against these, mid-range, I kind of want to say mediocre, but even mediocre teams in the men's Pac-12 conference, they play some really good games. That Stanford game, UCLA, I kind of want to break this up into two parts. UCLA's offense really came alive against Stanford.
Yeah.
Against Cal, they couldn't make a basket to save their lives.
At least down the stretch.
Yes.
Right.
But their defense just kept Cal at bay. So that's really good, considering that they can have both facets of the game working for them. The Stanford game was good because, God, their 3-point shooting has just been so good the last 2-3 weeks. Lazar Stefanovic has been a complete beast.
I need to get that damn drop.
Laser. I think he obviously you have the Adem Bonas and the Sebastian Max who have just been putting up the points, but Stefanovic has not only been putting up points, but he's been grabbing rebounds at key times during the game. What was it? I think he had 12 points and 13 rebounds in the last game. 10 defensive rebounds. That's insane. That just shows how much he has developed. He was supposed to be the lead veteran coming into this game this season, and it took a little bit to bring that out in him. And now we're just seeing this just absolute beast, just on the boards and just hitting shots from outside.
Oh, it's fantastic. And on this streak, they're just been, it's just been so impressive that, kind of the resolve they show, even when they're, they get up big against Cal and then they kind of get into a close game at the end, but then they come through at the end and win the game. And it's, I don't know, it's now they've won 5 in a row, and
7 out of 8,
Mm-hmm. And it's, going down the stretch of the season, they got those mountain schools coming into Poly this week. What do you think the prospects are with these two games? By the way, both are actually on television, ESPN and FS1, for these two mountain school games.
That's going to be interesting because obviously they got their their ass beat against Utah, and this team is going to they're going to look for some payback, especially with the game being at Poly Pavilion, which is actually on Sunday, not Saturday.
I'll be on a boat.
But I'm on a boat. But even still, Colorado looks like it could, it could be a pest. I'm not saying they're great.
But they can't take any of these teams for granted anymore. So the hole they dug, right?
Yeah. But the fact that UCLA has dug themselves out of the 11th place hole and is now in 3rd place in the Pac-12, they, in a matter of 3 weeks, they have gone from forgettable to first round bye in the Pac-12 tournament.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy. This turnaround, and it excuse me, and it came after that loss to Cal, where Mick Cronin didn't show up for the media, and then they go to Utah and just get annihilated. And then after that, it's just like, all right, even in that loss against Arizona, they had a 17-point lead. Sure, they lost it, but they look competitive. Since then, they have just been super focused, and they've just been a completely different team. It's insane what we're seeing right now.
It really is. And they're not there yet, but every win they get, you keep checking the bracketology, and I'm not expecting them to make the NCAA tournament because right now it looks like the only path they have to get into the NCAA tournament is to win the Pac-12 tournament. or win the conference outright, which they're still in shouting distance of winning the conference, aren't they, Mike?
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
And that would be crazy if like you win the tournament compared to Arizona. If UCLA ends up first and Arizona second, where Arizona's the ranked team and UCLA still isn't, that's going to throw a wrench into the into the committee system. And I've also been tracking a lot of the rankings. Obviously, they're not in the AP, but you look at the KenPom and the RPI and all that, and they have been moving up. But even in the last 2-3 weeks, they've been moving up slowly.
Yeah, well, because they're playing Pac-12 teams, and the Pac-12 sucks.
Exactly,
that's the problem.
Exactly. The net rankings, they don't. What is it? I don't think they have a single tier 1 win, but that tier 2. What is it? I think they're like 6-1.
Yeah,
that'll help them out.
Yeah.
So honestly, at this point, they just got to keep winning. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get an invite, and who knows? Because sure, a lot of these are stat based, but they're at the end of the day, they're committee based. The committee is going to go, okay, does this team who they sucked in the non-conference and into the first half of the Pac-12, but they've just torn it up.
Well, and
are they going to go, that's worthy of a spot? Or are they going to go, you didn't do as much as we thought?
Yeah, look, I mean, for them to actually get selected for the tournament without getting some sort of auto bid, still a big, long shot.
Yeah.
However, the way they're playing now, you look at if they can beat Utah, who clobbered them, that'll be a nice revenge game.
Oh, yeah.
They've beat everybody else that they're going to play other than, Arizona, like that would be a big tier 1 matchup, win in that case.
Yeah, I said tier, I meant quad.
Yeah, whatever
They're
it is.
quad. Yeah,
Quad,
exactly. Right. Who gives?
Yeah, but
put it into 4 separate.
Look,
It doesn't matter.
We're not expecting them to win out. However, it's not absolutely beyond the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not, right? The toughest games on their schedule are going to be at Poly Pavilion, but let's say they did. They would be inching closer towards some sort of at-large berth, but still, I don't think that's what the expectation should be at this point. Like, we dropped so low that now I think just as long as there's not another like bottoming out of some sort, if they keep playing hard and they're in these games and they're playing, what we think is the best of their ability, I mean, this will be a nice end of a year for Cronin when it looked like it was going to be really, really, really dark, but something to build on, and then you see what it is next year. But like, I don't think they've given up on themselves. Have you given up on them quite yet, Mike? We still got.
Well, I thought it was very close to giving up on them a few weeks ago, but
yeah,
from
the
what
Utah
they've
game,
done,
yeah, but from that point, they've been balling, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, so. Hey, let's enjoy the rest of the season and see where they end up, and maybe it'll be a fun story. We're not looking at this team as a team that's even in the tournament at this point. And if they happen to be lucky enough to somehow make it into the tournament, we get a little more excited. But it's still not a big time tournament team. But there are some things that we can appreciate about these guys right now. Yeah, very good. All right, Mikey, let's put a pin in basketball for now, and I'll do the listener feedback, and then we'll get to what's brewing, and then we'll get out of here.
Didn't you say in your resume that you did 4 years at UCLA?
Yes. Technically, if you consider Bel Air an extension of the campus, which everybody does.
UCLA! UCLA! Fight!
So, getting a listener feedback, we do have a few calls to play from the hotline. Once again, 805-399 for WBS. Suck it, Reign of Troy. I want to thank you guys all for, I think most of the callers are also Patreon subscribers, and I want to thank them for their support as well. Of course, if you subscribe to the Patreon on whatsbruinshow.com or patreon.com/whatsbruinshow for just a couple bucks a month,
$2.
And the same goes for the Substack. You do get access to our Slack channel where we have some nice spirited conversations on there, as well as you'll get all the mall casts or What's Brewing After Darks or other special shows that we end up doing. So thank you very much. First up, we're gonna go with a reaction after the hiring of Deshaun Foster, and that's going to be our dear friend Nancy.
Hi guys, this is Nancy calling. And I just listened to the press conference, and of course right now I'm a little tearful. So, any rate, I honestly know that there are people who are concerned about doesn't have experience in this, they wanted that. But my gut is after 29 years in education and being around young people, the biggest difference you can have is to have the kids really know that you love and care for them. You don't let them get away with junk, because that's not loving. But his pillar of discipline made my heart sing. Kids need to know that you love them enough to make sure they're going to succeed. And these kids, when they announced it in front of the team, that was genuine. That was the most genuine emotion I've seen in a long time. And I remember how people were griping about Mick Cronin, and now we know he's the coach for our basketball team. And I think Deshaun is going to do one fabulous job. And so that's my opinion, and take it or leave it. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for the call. And no, I think that all of what we saw in the press conference, that's definitely some of the benefits or the nice things you could say about Deshaun Foster. Is he definitely seems engaged. He definitely, there's no doubt he cares about the program. There's no doubt he feels like he was kind of appointed to a task he was meant to do. And, he's got a lot on his plate for sure to bring back this program to where we all want it to be and where we expect it to be. But a big part of that, if he is successful, is going to be how he connects with the student athletes, or kids as we're still calling them. They're still young people, and how much they buy in. I think you can make the case that the players that were here under Chip Kelly bought into him, and that he was actually good at keeping his players together on his teams, despite the woeful, underachieving and some of the losses they had. But as a whole, that was a strength of the Kelly era. But Foster's going to have to be at least that good and even better, I think, especially when you're talking about bringing in new people into the program. And I think where Chip did a woefully poor job was not just taking care of the personalities within his own locker room, which I think he was good at that, and I hope Deshaun Foster is good at that, but also reaching out into the community, not just the press, not just the fans, but rebuilding the name of UCLA football in high school recruiting throughout the Southland and really throughout the country. And that's something that eroded to a terrible degree under Chip Kelly by all accounts, right? And if Foster can remake those connections and, prove to these kids that he's got their well-being at heart and he wants to develop them. I think in his press conference, his quote was, "We're going to develop professionals." Then I think that's a good start, right? He's got a long way to go, but that is a good start. So thank you, Nance, for the call. And I think we're going to hear from good old Des next.
Morning, guys. Des from Santa Clarita calling, I guess, for the first time since the season's been over, or something to that nature. One, while Chip Kelly is a great offensive mind, him being a head coach and being a team builder is probably not his suit. He went into Oregon with a basically ready-made family. That team was already built, and he just kept adding pieces. He got to Philly. He tried to tear it down and build it back up. Wasn't, his strong suit. We don't count the 49ers because that was a mess before he got there. And he did build a foundation. No matter what anybody says, he built a foundation. But he just couldn't get the pieces, and be that him not being able to recruit the players or get off his ass to recruit the players. That was basically his downfall at UCLA. And I get it. If you don't want to do something to that nature, you just shouldn't do it. But he took the money, he got the extension, and now he's gone. He's in Ohio State. Deshaun Foster, I think, is a great move. I was hoping either him or Ken Norton would get the job. Hopefully, their in-game decision-making is great. Hopefully he either promotes a person to offensive coordinator or find an offensive coordinator worth a damn, hopefully, in the FCS or FBS ranks, and hopefully we find ourselves a brand new offensive line coach. I don't know how great most people think Tim is, but I don't know. I'm not fond of him. He didn't do too well at SC. I don't know about the 49ers. I can't remember him at the 49ers. And he's done okay, but it'd be great if we get somebody who can come in, do gangbusters, or become a gangbuster in recruiting and coaching. But anyway, much love to you guys. Miss you guys, or miss football season, really, especially now that the Super Bowl is over. And go Bruins.
Thanks, Des. I really appreciate it. I wouldn't get my hopes up on Drevno leaving at this point because I think they just gave him one of those fake promotion titles. But I guess it still is all up in the air. But no, I agree with what you're saying there, and I think that whatever the staff he ends up getting is going to be a big deal. We're hoping that even though he might lack experience, and we talked about maybe that not being a deal breaker when you consider other career paths that successful coaches have taken in college football. There was a number of them, but he's going to need an experienced, good staff. So let's hope he can add some nice pieces of the puzzle there. But thanks once again, Des, for calling. Now I think Nick from Clearwater, Florida is next. Let's hear from him.
Hey guys, this is Nick from Clearwater, Florida. Calling just a day after the Deshaun Foster news. And initially, when I first heard the news, there was some excitement. You gotta love Deshaun Foster, a great Bruin. And I've seen whether it's on X or on the message boards on Bro or anything like that, a lot of hesitancy about Foster's hire just because he was a part of the Kelly regime. There's a lot of potential issues that come with that, considering how much of a flop Kelly turned out to be. Most of it, for me though, I'm trying to remain hopeful because he doesn't have any coordinator or head coaching experience, that it's kind of untested. So my view is trying to have some semblance of hope moving into the next few years, because I think I saw somewhere his contract's 5 years, is trying to remain optimistic in these first couple years, even though we're probably going to be terrible next year, is just trying to remain optimistic so that maybe he surprises everyone and is able to get a couple of, or at least a great offensive coordinator, is able to really notch up recruiting because he's now in the driver's seat. So for me, I'm just trying to be excited because this is a new sign of life in UCLA football that we haven't seen in several years. So I don't know. I'm just trying not to be as down as what I've been seeing just across social media, and trying to be optimistic, considering, that's all we can really be at this point in our UCLA fandom. But, how about the basketball teams, huh? Well, thanks, guys. Have a great show.
Nick, there's a lot of really good points, and I'll tell you this. The difference between what you see on the Twitter, right, versus what we saw, for example, at the press conference when they are literally applauding everything that is said with almost a standing ovation and things, and just like a relentlessly positive press conference, which of course that's what a press conference is going to be. But I mean, there's a lot of sunshine and rainbows, and then there's a lot of, oh my God, I can't believe they just did this. And as fans, well, you could either choose to hope for the best because you don't have any control over the situation anyway. So you might as well be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just, look for the things that could work out and put my hopes on that, at least until the games start. Or you could be relentlessly negative from now into the offseason, just, oh my God, they don't know what they're doing and yada, yada, yada. Well, guess what? If they didn't fire Chip Kelly after one of the worst losses in school history at ASU, right, or not ASU, at the Rose Bowl, ASU at the Rose Bowl, do you think they're going to fire, or let go of Deshaun Foster before he even plays a game because of your tweet? No, absolutely not. So might as well just either stop paying attention to the program at all, or start to think about ways that it could work out and get yourself a little bit geeked up, because there are some things you can point to that could make you, cautiously optimistic, quote unquote, right? If they retain the guys that are on the roster, they could have a pretty good offense if they get a decent offensive coordinator, right? Things could work out if Deshaun adds some veteran experience onto his coaching staff, and this turns out to be a guy that is extremely motivated and works his ass off to correct the things that are going wrong with the program. There are ways that which this could work out. And I would just say that if you are on the fence of leaning one way or the other, maybe lean more towards the positive, because what else are you going to do? Because really we don't have any more control over it than that, right? So at the very least, we knew that the Chip Kelly era was under so much baggage that it was going to be hard to go forward. And there were some people that it could never get turned around enough for him, right? Well, we're not in that situation anymore. And at least if UCLA is going to hire a coach with no experience, no head coaching or coordinator experience, as to say, it's a Bruin that we all know and love, right? There's a lot of things we could get behind if we choose to get behind, and we have no control over it anyway. So you might as well be positive until you really have a real reason to be negative about this particular guy. So whatever, I'll get off my soapbox. Last but not least is another wonderful contributor to the show. It is none other than Carrie, and thank you very much for calling.
Hi, What's Bruin Show. It's Carrie. I hope you're doing well. A lot of stuff going on, and I'm not sure the best time to call you in alignment with your show, so I hope you don't mind me just randomly calling. But this weekend was huge, as you know, just starting with basketball. Both the women and men won all their games. The women bounced back from that huge Stanford loss, and the men are still thriving since the Utah loss. So it feels like basketball is normalizing a little bit. But, you know, obviously Chip Kelly. I am curious what's going to happen with the coaching search. You know, something that I heard on your show was about Jed Fish, and I believe Chip Kelly took the job when Jed was offensive coordinator, and then he left, and how, you know, we look back at that now and wonder if we just should have gone internal. And so I can't help but think about that this time. You know, maybe Chip develops coaches well. I think he can develop his players pretty well. And yeah, so I saw something about the previous players really wishing that Jed Fish had been picked for head coach back in the day. And now I'm listening to the players talk about Deshaun Foster and Eric Hendricks said something similar. Maurice Jones-Drew identified Chris Horton with the Ravens, who probably worked with Dan Quinlan, Tony White over at Nebraska. So yeah, we'll see what happens if they end up going with someone not connected with the program or not. But there's an interim solution as well if they wanted to go with someone without head coaching experience. Maybe there might be more flexibility in the contract. Anyhow, it's going to be interesting how the chips fall. No pun intended. I also have this theory about why Chip Kelly decided to just take off at this time in the year. Wondering what you think. I'm a lawyer, and so I'm thinking about that contract that Chip Kelly had, and I'm wondering about whether he was living up to the recruiting conditions of it. And then I see him out in the recruiting trail. I think you guys mentioned this at one of your last show. Like, he's all of a sudden showing up on these posts recruiting. I suspect Martin also wants him to promote NIL, Mena Westwood. And maybe after all those recruiting trips, Kelly decided he wasn't going to take it anymore.
No, I think you absolutely hit on the head, Carrie. And Carrie ends up being a little bit prophetic, right? Obviously, these calls are not being played in the order I received them. I played them a little bit out of order. I apologize about that. But she was speculating about maybe Deshaun getting hired, and turns out that she was right about that, right? They go back to the well of, this coaching tree and people that came through the UCLA program. I will say that if you talked about Deshaun Foster and what his coaching lineage is, right, he studied under Jim Mora and he studied under Chip Kelly. And hopefully he takes the good things that those guys had going and what he learned from being under them as the head coach when he was the running backs coach for them. And he synthesizes that with his own ideas to become a good head coach in his own right? But that remains to be seen. And as far as Chip leaving and why it went so long, Mike and I talked about that at the top of this show. I think it's just one of these things where it's like, the UCLA didn't pull the trigger when they should have, right? They kind of missed their opportunity or their window. It's funny. I just went to, as part of my job, I went to a training on, like use of force and when you're, what you kind of the rules of engagement are. And it's like, you have this window of opportunity when you can act. And then if you let that pass, or if it does pass, then now all of a sudden the stuff that you may have, options that may have been open for you have now passed, right? And it's kind of like UCLA missed their window of opportunity after the ASU game, and then Chip kind of won his way back into, not getting fired with the USC, and they lost to Cal, but then they won the bowl game, and then at that point there was just like this little kind of weird stalemate where everybody knew that nobody wanted him around, and he kind of gradually came to that realization, and he started shopping for jobs because he kind of saw the writing on the wall, which if it wasn't coming this year, it was definitely coming next year. I don't know. But as far as he was out doing job interviews, but also on the recruiting trail. You're probably right, Carrie. I didn't even think about it, but you're probably right. He probably was fulfilling part of his contract just to do it. But while he, knew that he was not going to be around much longer. So I don't know. I came all the way around on Chip to where, now I want to spit every time I hear his name, but it wasn't always like that. But now he's gone and we can move on. So let's all turn the page together. Carrie actually called back with another call later in the week. So let's play that real quick and then we'll finish up the segment.
Hey, this is Carrie again. And one last thing. Thought I remember Jake saying that he was maybe thinking about a podcast with an attorney friend of his. Used to be a public defender, which I respect. I used to be a public defender, and that is a tough job. But I was wondering about a name came to mind, because I think your friend's name is Jake, and you could call it like Jake and Jake Attorneys at Ball, like BALL. Ha ha ha. Anyways, I love the idea though, Jake. Hope you guys are doing well. Look forward to your show, and I'll be waiting to hear what you guys have to say about all the Chip Kelly mess. All right, have a good one. Go Bruins.
Jake and Jake, Attorneys at Ball.
Balls, 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 balls.
It definitely is a work in progress. Right now, the working title that we're going with is a Chinatown reference, the sequel to Chinatown being The Two Jakes. And we were talking about it being The Two Jakes podcast, about like legal stuff and whatnot. But it's still, in the works. So we'll see. I think I'm going to have to retire first before I actually can spill all the goods on my career and whatnot. But we'll see how that goes. But I do know, with this revelation that you are yourself an attorney, Carrie, I think we have our first guest booked. So we'll have to talk to you about that. But, FYI, it's going to be a couple years because I still got a while before I can cash out. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you, everybody, for calling the hotline, 805-399-4WBS, Second Run in Troy. So before we move on to to what's wrong with you, I do want to spend a couple minutes and just go over some of the reaction that we've had on Twitter, which of course can be horribly negative, but also sometimes relentlessly positive. Just a sampling of the reaction to UCLA hiring Deshaun Foster as the new head coach. George Reister III, I think he was an Oregon Duck, right? And he's part of the media. He says 5 reasons I like Deshaun Foster as head coach of UCLA. Number 1, he cares about UCLA. That's definitely true. Number 2, he's a good recruiter. I would say the jury's out on that. Number 3, he knows ball. That's certainly true as well. He's a veteran football player. 4, he's young and energetic. Yes, relatively speaking, right? He's younger compared to all of us. 5, he's well-respected and will be able to hire a good staff. That, too, the jury is completely out on. So we shall see when it comes to that. I hope that Reister is right on all those accounts. Fellow podcaster and part of the LA Football Network, Jamal Madney, says, home run hire, Martin Jarmon, happy clap hands emoji. Deshaun sent 4 straight running backs to the NFL. Players love him, can genuinely recruit about getting guys to the league, given his experience, demonstrated exceptional loyalty to UCLA, and will treat this as a destination job. Go Bruins, 4 is up, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Mr. Madney is very happy about this, and that's just fine. He's entitled to his opinion. I don't know if it quite encompasses the possible downsides of this hire, but hey, you can be excited. I'm a little excited too. That's fine. We're trying to have Will, his partner, on the show sometime coming up soon. I hope that happens. But good luck to them over at the LA Football Network. I know they're just partying like rock stars at the Super Bowl. UCLA Football Countdown. He called in with a nice call to fire Chip Kelly back in November, and now he's saying, still not happy, but trying to talk myself into it. Yeah, I think that's a lot of us here in UCLA football land. But it's like, hey, you know what? It's kind of like reality, and are we in assimilation, or free will? Do we actually have it? It's kind of like, well, you're never really going to know whether you do or not, so you might as well act as if you do. Well, I'd say it's a good note in this situation, right? We don't really control anything, so might as well be happy until we have reason to be unhappy with old Sean Foster's UCLA football head coach. Moving on, Tony Syracuse says, it has become very clear to us that there is a strong push directly to the AD's office by former UCLA players on behalf of Deshaun Foster in the last 36 hours. Yeah, it certainly seems like that. Dayton Jones says, what a hire at UCLA. Great day to be alive and be a Bruin. Congratulations, Coach Foss. That is going to be something that has been made very clear by UCLA players, both current and former. David Woods from the Bro Report and also Podcast Champion says, whenever you have an intrusive thought about UCLA football, just think about UCLA basketball instead. Hey, that's something that, you could probably use if you're having trouble with this hire. That's fine. We're all there. 12th Bruin says, will you renew your 2024 UCLA football tickets? Go Bruins. I'm in. All right. Bruin Source. Our friends over at Bruin Source say Foster's young, energetic, and an alum. He's also done a very good job with the running backs in his time. He's also likely very cheap. The players also seem to love him. But man, going from running back coach to head coach, that feels a stretch, risky hire for UCLA. I think that's probably right where we're kind of sitting as well, right? Jerry Neuheisel, great day to be a Bruin. So happy for Deshaun Foster. Maybe he's sticking around, right? He just got a new contract. He just got a weird fake promotion. Another current player, Deshaun Morrell, a former guest of the show, friend of the What's Bruin Show, Country Strong. It's a great day to be alive and be a Bruin. Jim Mora says, great hire at Deshaun Foster, is a wonderful human being, great coach, a true mentor, and a loyal Bruin. Congratulations to him and at UCLA football, at Josh Reholtz, at Martin Jarmon. 8 clap, 4's up. Hey, we love that from old Jim Mora, giving us some support while he's over there on the East Coast. Nathan Eberhardt of the UCLA B team, or at least he once was.
You must not know about me. You must not know about me.
He is also, like, his favorite player of all time is Sean Foster. So he says, oh, good Lord, I've died and gone to heaven. I'm speechless. Got to convince my family to move back to California and get season tickets again. Yes, Nathan, you're welcome back in Southern California. No, he's another East Coaster guy. On the flip side of that, Michael Hanna.
It's been a solid 28 hours or so of feeling myself.
He, we already heard from him earlier in the show, but his first tweet in this news is, I don't think I've ever rolled my eyes harder in my life. So yin and a yang there for sure, right, guys? Definitely you should listen to the B Team when we publish that show if Hannah gets around to sending it to me, which I hope he does. J-Mo Sturdivant, great day to be a Bruin. And then also there was an undercurrent of hiring Caleb Wilson onto the staff. So whatever you think about that is a whole nother can of worms. So the reactions kind of all across the board, some people being very, very, skeptical of the hire, some people being overwhelmingly positive about the hire despite the warning signs, and a lot of people that are like, well, at least it's not Chip anymore, right? At least we're done with that. I'm certainly in that camp of at least the baggage of Chip Kelly for the most part is gone, right? We'll see how it develops going through and leading up to the next season. But we have somebody new to consider and think about, and I think that's a good thing, all in all. So with that being said, let's get on to Bill's favorite part of the show, even though Bill is gone, and he won't be giving his What's Bruin. It's What's Bruin with You.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mikey, what is brewing with you, my friend?
Oh, God, everything. This is a busy-ass weekend with...
Wasn't it, though?
The Chip Kellys leaving and the Deshaun Fosters, entering, and, my daughter's first basketball seasons were, had just ended, so
Very cool.
very heavy sports weekend, and yes, my girl Kelly came into town. We saw some hockey, and it was just a very fun but freaking busy ass weekend.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, this is off season. What the hell?
Yeah, a
Come
lot
on
happened
now.
this weekend, didn't it, Mike?
Just there was just so much going on. It was insane, and obviously, as it does with a coaching change, with our coach who we didn't want is gone, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, we have this new coach. You know, are we happy? Are we not? Still,
How do we feel about it?
It gives us a lot to think about. So, also, bravo on your Mallcast. Sure, staccato, whatnot, but
thanks, Mike.
It was needed. Yeah. So, it was just a very busy weekend of just checking on the Twitters and sports sites to see exactly what's happening, what's going on, and
I was tweeting a lot.
all culminating with this introductory press conference by Martin Jarman and our homie Wayne Cook, who introduced
That's
that.
right, man.
Silver Fox right there, and Deshaun Foster just getting emotional, and whatever you think about it, hey, there's some, as I've said this like 80,000 times in the last two podcasts tonight. There's some life and there's some energy in the program right now. So if anything, even if next year UCLA goes 0-12, enjoy this offseason up until the beginning of September.
The shit hit Savan.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying, Mike?
There's stuff for UCLA fans to be happy about. It could go horribly wrong very quickly in September. But until then, enjoy your spring and summer.
But it might not.
It might not as well.
But it might not.
Exactly. If it doesn't, that's even more of a reason.
A little bit of found money.
Exactly. Right. It's even more of a reason to enjoy what we're going to go through this offseason. Jake, what's brewing with you?
Mikey, thank you very much. I have a little bit of a combo. Watch this show, read this stuff. But if I can find the theme for watch this show, it's right around here somewhere. There it is.
Watch this show.
Jake. He watches too much TV. No one can get through to him. Jake. I really hope you know that Doctor Who is fake. Jake. There's more to life than Sherlock. Just to fight a new girl. Wait.
No, there's not.
I should probably update that because
it's fine. I still like it.
None of those shows
are relevant anymore.
Active anymore.
That's okay. It's fine. I'm totally cool with that, man. My watch this show. I put it on the Slack channel a little bit, and this is something on IMDb that's got relatively poor reviews. It's like a 5.6 out of 10, but I actually found myself watching this. This is Zack Snyder's Netflix thing that he did, Rebel Moon. This is part 1 of Rebel Moon. It's like a 4-hour double movie type of thing. It was supposed to be a big thing by Netflix, and they put out a bunch of advertising for it. And then when it came out, not a whole lot of people watched it. And then it kind of sort of became a flop. And I don't know if it's like just kind of like gasping to the finish line when part 2 comes out next month. But it looked cool to me. And so for the first time in a while, I actually sat down and watched a movie the other night. And I'm just going to tell you, like, it's not the greatest movie ever made. But if you're a person who likes Westerns, you're going to like this movie. If you're a person that likes sci-fi, you're going to like this movie. If you're a person that likes sort of original content, you're going to like this movie. And I say sort of original content is because it's definitely like a Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven riff, but it's well done and it's fun and it's cool and it's very pretty, and the actors are all very, they're like these beautiful people that are like grunged up because they're supposed to be in like a, an Old West sci-fi saloon type of thing.
Really?
But you can't help but that like these are all like just gorgeous people doing gorgeous things. And it's super well done. Like all the action scenes are awesome and the special effects are awesome. Like it's just a cool movie. And don't expect to come away from going, oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever made. No, but is it worth watching? Absolutely. So
is it better than Saltburn?
I liked it better than Saltburn, but
that's a weird ass movie.
And like I said, we talked about Saltburn last week.
Yeah.
And my take on Saltburn is there's other movies that did it better, but there was some very
That's true.
sensationalistic moments of it. But once again, that's a movie that a lot of beautiful people, and is it worth watching? Sure.
Barry Keoghan has some beautiful eyes. What the hell?
Absolutely. It kind of
freaking British.
Mike, I liked this movie a lot more than I like Saltburn, but I think, you like Saltburn, which is totally fine and totally defensible.
Oh, yeah.
Once again,
I do
was
like
it
the
worth
soundtrack.
watching?
That helped me out.
Was it worth watching? Yeah. And I would say the same thing about this one. Only
nice. Cheers.
there's not two horribly grotesque moments in it like there are in Saltburn. So you got that bonus too.
Two?
Right? Everybody could watch this. I'm two
There are
off the
a
top
few
of my
more.
Two off the top of my head. Two off the top of my head. Anyways, pretty darn good. And then on the you disgusting bastard. On the flip side of it, I've been reading a wonderful book or listening to it on Audible, but it is Camus on Combat, which is basically Albert Camus. He's a writer, philosopher, a reporter from post-World War II, pretty much an existentialist type of guy. He's thrown in that category. But it's all of his writing he did coming out of during the French occupation. He was a underground reporter in the resistance. And then once the Germans get kicked out of France, he is now writing in the open for combat or combat, in the French, talking about how the French government's going to reestablish itself and what they're going to do. And it's just a really cool document of that time that if you read it, there are so many things that could be relevant right now, just with talking about how societies get polarized in these moments and how societies deal with coming out of situations when everybody is at each other's throats pretty much. And if this guy who is talking about coming out of World War II and the Nazis and things like that, where, pretty much he acknowledges that, if you're dealing with Nazis, then we have to fight against the goddamn Nazis because they're just pure unadulterated evil. However, pretty much anything short of that, we should be looking for some sort of compromise and middle ground with everybody in most situations. And that's pretty much the message he's putting forth. And it's a really interesting historical document, and I highly recommend it.
I did not see that coming.
Well, there you go. I'm on all sorts of stuff, Mikey. So there you go. But I'm listening to it on Audible. I also ordered a hard copy of it. But watch this show, read that book, and let's get the hell out of here, Mikey. It's late. I've kept you late.
I got to do read that book. Oh, too bad there's no echo here, but
Mikey, I want to bring back our Audible What's Bruin code, even though nobody ever uses it. Even Bill, in one of his most legendary moments, like a week after I got the What's Bruin Audible sign up code, he fucking calls me and he's like, "Hey, I just signed up for Audible. What do you think?" And I said, "Bill, did you use the What's Bruin sign up code?" It's like, "No, we have one of those." It's like, "Oh dear God, you rat bastard."
Do you pay attention to anything on the show?
And then he canceled it, and now he uses my Audible. So it's all fair anyway. It's typical.
That's Bill.
All right. Anyways, guys, listen to the first part of the show. Listen to the next part of the show. I don't know how many episodes are going to be out this week. It'll be Mike's solo next week, or maybe it won't. Maybe we won't have an episode. I don't know. Mike?
Well, you'll be on a boat.
Yeah. So whatever happens, it'll be up to Mike.
Yeah.
But with that being said, thank you, and listen to us on the Patreon, support the show, and good luck to Deshaun Foster in his first week as UCLA head coach. And let's go.
I don't want that pressure.
Basketball, men's and women's. Keep the wins going. And until next time, go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rock, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.